What's up guys, this is Christian Thomas and I'm coming at you with another video, and this video is going to be about how I used to be a social justice warrior and why I'm not a social justice warrior anymore. First things first, I used to be a social justice warrior. I used to be the kind of person that would put a lot of emphasis on my identities as a black autistic woman and stuff like that. I used to see everything through either a racial, gender, or disability lens, and I used to believe in stuff like intersectionality feminism and Black Lives Matter and the systems of oppression, or so to speak. And I remember when I first started college about 4 years ago, I I was subject to these privilege exercises, like like different categories of privilege and oppression. If you were black or Asian or Hispanic or basically anything other than white, you were considered oppressed. Whereas if you were white, you were considered privileged. And if you had any kind of disability, you were automatically considered oppressed. And if you didn't have a disability, you were automatically considered privileged. If you're following what I'm saying here. And the thing is, I started to realize that a lot of this nonsense was bull. Like about a year and a half ago, maybe. I think I think Donald Trump being elected made me realize that I don't have to see everything through a racial or gender lens. And I also realized that all lives do matter. And I think about the way I viewed the world during my social justice warrior days, and how I used to think that I was oppressed and how I was a victim. I was in a really miserable space back then mentally, because I used to see everything as oppression or everything as privilege. And I don't think that way anymore, because privilege is determined by life's circumstances. Privilege is determined by your wealth and the advantages that you get as for being an American citizen. It's not determined by gender or skin color, as the mainstream media and academia like to push. And another thing that I used to do that I no longer do is I used to live in these political echo chambers. I used to accept things like Now This and BuzzFeed and CNN and stuff like that. I used to accept all of that as news, and I was not skeptical of anything at all. Whereas now I'm a lot more skeptical than I used to be, and I couldn't be happier for that. That means that I am growing mentally. I'm leaving my echo chamber. And I used to be a really staunch liberal, and now it's like I still hold liberal values. I still have liberal beliefs. And I also acknowledge that conservatives make some legitimate points. And I started to realize that there's good and bad to both sides, and it's kind of hard to pigeonhole yourself to one side entirely. And basically, the basic idea behind that part right there is that I don't fit neatly into the liberal or conservative dichotomy, because, like I said before, both sides make good points, and I had to take the time to listen and understand both sides before I could make a conclusion. And I didn't used to do that back when I was a social justice warrior, back when I was pro-black and things like that. And now I don't view everything as a racial or politicized lens. I view it as good ideas versus bad ideas, regardless of who's propagating them, or so to speak. And like watching different anti-SJW YouTubers, different skeptic YouTubers, was really instrumental into me getting outside of my echo chamber. Though they said things that I disagreed with, I still kept an open mind, and I'm still keeping an open mind, because I encounter people every day that say things or do things that I disagree with. The difference is I handle it a lot better now. I can just sit there and say, wow, this person may not have an idea that I agree with, but they still have the right to have that particular idea. And I no longer cast negative ideas as racist unless they're legitimately racist or sexist or whatever. And like I said, it's like if you want to get out of the echo chamber, you should stop viewing everything as a racial or gender lens, because that doesn't do anything but hurt you mentally and emotionally. And I learned this from experience. And I no longer get triggered by simple things because, hey, everybody has an idea, everybody has an opinion, and everybody has the freedom to express that opinion. And when I started to look at the little blue-haired, fat people walking around on college campuses, and I started to realize I don't want to be associated with these people who believe in hate speech. It's like, though I used to believe in hate speech myself, as I used to say stuff like, hate speech is not free speech. And the funny thing is, when I was in that SJW lens, I got a lot more acceptance from my peers than I do now, that I've gotten out of that SJW lens. And now that I'm no longer in SJW, I no longer believe in the radical feminist, the radical leftist, the Black Lives Matter ideology. I run into a lot of conflict in both online and in real life circles. And I realize that there's no need to always be politically correct, because you're going to offend someone no matter what. And I think that everybody should just try to grow a thicker skin and be more accepting to different points of view, and not get so upset when people disagree with you, because that's just part of life, to be honest. And that said, if you want to expand yourself politically or otherwise, get out of the dichotomy of the two extremes. At the end of the day, it's all a big spectrum, because you got one extreme right here and you got another extreme right here. And between those extremes, you got yourself a nice little balance, which is what I want, which is what I want the world to be. And that said, if you like this video, please give it a like, comment, subscribe, and share. And alright, see you guys in the next video. Peace.